Hello and welcome to another edition of TVRI World, and tonight we're covering the gala dinner of ASEAN, and it's going to be something really interesting with the glitz, the glam, the glamour, sideline gossip probably a little bit, and also the main issue of what's been happening throughout the ASEAN summit, and we're so happy to be able to see you this evening. With me, Uli Herdi, and my beautiful partner here.
Thank you, Uli. I'm Siska Becker. Indeed, we are very excited to be back on this majestic stage to give you all the latest updates from the 43rd ASEAN Summit and related events. After a full day of meeting and convening, the state leaders and heads of delegates are now going to kick back and relax.
This is one of the most interesting part of the summit, I think, because although it's a gala dinner, the lobbying is still happening.
Of course, especially all the trade and the economic partnership that is underway. And although they'll be enjoying a feast prepared by the host Indonesia at Hutan Kota Pelataran, a beautiful venue, right?
Yes.
We'll also be enjoying an insightful conversation with our very special guest who's joining us here in the studio this evening. Thank you so much for coming here, Professor Aryawan Gunadi.
Thank you so much.
An expert on business law and international trade, also a professor at Tarumanagara University and chairman at Tarumanagara Foundation, also busy managing some corporations and firms. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your packed schedule to come here with us. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. It's an honor for me.
So great to have you here. So let's talk about the bird's eye view about what's happening. We've been paying attention about a lot of discussions between the countries, the regional and also the multilateral. So before we dive into the technicalities and also the details of what's happening, probably you can give us a little bit of a general idea of your view about what's been happening in the ASEAN Summit.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Uli and Ibu Siska. So it's been an honor for me to join this, it's a great stage here. Talking about the ASEAN Summit 2023, I think this is a good moment for Indonesia. Because as we know that Indonesia last time became the president of G20 and now becomes the chair of ASEAN. I think this is the moment of President Joko Widodo to speak up in international event and bring the Indonesian agenda into the ASEAN and speak loudly a good agenda and a good point of view in ASEAN. And secondly, if we see that ASEAN dealing with many agreements bilateral with some states and also dealing with many agreements with regional group. So that's why we will see, like yesterday we have a ASEAN summit with Canada and also ASEAN summit with China and also some ASEAN summit with United Nations. I think it is a good moment to put a good agenda for Jokowi to deal with ASEAN. And the third is that we know that there are some issue like with Myanmar, the conflict and the violence in Myanmar. So we know the updated news that now Myanmar, we can say, knocked out from chairman of ASEAN
for next year.
For next year.
And the Philippines are taking Myanmar's place for next year.
You're right. And then I think ASEAN have to, to give a solution, I think, for what they want to do for Myanmar. And fourth, about the applying of Timor-Leste, Sanana Gusmau's scheme, Iriana Joko
went viral.
Yes, that's very viral.
Because Sanana Gusmau came in and then is the end of the First Lady.
You're right, the First Lady.
Everywhere on social media, everywhere on TikTok.
The most talk about visuals.
Yes. So we have to know in deeply what is the purpose of Timor-Leste in applying. So Indonesia have to take a good positions in dealing with Timor-Leste. And what is the benefit for Indonesia and benefit for ASEAN? Joko Widodo also mentioned last time, if I'm not mistaken, that you want to connect between Dili, Kupang, and Darwin. So it is good for trade, investment, and infrastructure.
But why specifically Dili, Kupang, and Darwin?
Because this is quite, if we see from the location, not too far. And then this is the track of trade and investment. I think this is very good. I think for trading and investment and everything. And also we know that one of the issue of this ASEAN is the digital transformacy.
That's true.
Digital, this is very important.
The QR codes.
The QR codes, you're right. And then maybe one day, because they've already signed the agreement to use local currency. They said bye-bye US dollar, and they want to use local currency, and it can be used, in Malaysia, in Thailand, and everything. So they can use in ASEAN.
Yeah.
And also for QR code, also same. So they have also make an agreement to use QR. Now we can see in Thailand, they can use it now, and Singapore, Malaysia will joining.
So the currency stays in the area.
You're right, the currency in the area. So you just bring your phone there, and then
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But can that be not such a good thing as well for, I don't know, other regions?
Yes. I think we have to see, because the criminal like money laundering. We have to be careful on that, because like if you go to Singapore, there is a limitation to bring some rupiah or some dollars. So we have to be careful, because sometimes some people use it to bring lots of money to transfer and everything, to use money laundering for transfer pricing and everything. So I have to be careful. And there are many issues like sustainability. Also, there is an issue has to sustain, because the government would like to push the agenda of ASEAN in 2045.
All right.
So how the government play a good role in ASEAN 2045.
So it's a long game.
Yes,
it's a long game. Yeah.
So,
Prof. Aryawan, you've done splendidly on assessing the key issues that will be discussed throughout the summit.
Yep.
I'd love to break it down, actually, all those key issues that you mentioned, and get your own perspective on it.
Yep.
Just a friendly reminder to all our viewers, we're also going to be having a live feed from the venue, from Hutan Kota Pelataran, and to see all the fun that the leaders are going to be enjoying. If I'm not mistaken, Uli, just recently you hosted an event at Hutan Kota Pelataran.
I hosted an event for ASEAN a couple of weeks, a week ago.
Yes.
And Hutan Kota Pelataran is definitely a beautiful place, and it's so suitable to entertain the leaders from all over the world.
Isn't it great to show the world leaders that Jakarta?
The setup is so majestic. The
I
stage.
can only imagine.
There's a huge stage, and then there's a small pools around that stage, and then there's a small balcony where the luminaries can sit and enjoy the dinner while looking at this grande stage with the backdrop of trees and also lights from the building. So it's majestic.
So it's like a mixture between greeneries and then the skyline of Jakarta at one view, right?
Definitely.
Hopefully the world leaders can enjoy this evening indeed, because Indonesia so far is being quite known of throwing great events.
We've been throwing great parties, they say.
Great shows,
Indonesia has been such a great host. G20s and in Labuan Bajo and now Jakarta, and we've been doing it successfully. So something to be proud about.
Okay, now we're going to see if there's anything happening. For sure, we're going to show it to you. But now I want to go back to Prof. Aryawan. Now, you mentioned all those key issues, and it's actually quite interesting to note, like you said, and like what everybody's been talking about, there's a lot of attention on geopolitical instabilities that is happening, just not in the region, but even the Indo-Pacific region.
You're right.
You mentioned the Myanmar conflict that is still ongoing on, and we are still also embroiled in the South China Sea dispute that is also garnering a lot of attention.
Yes.
But actually, at the beginning of Indonesia's chairmanship of ASEAN, Ibu Retno Marsudi, our foreign minister, have always tried to push forward the concept of making ASEAN a regional bloc that is also profitable for business. It's good for business. It's the epicentrum of growth, hence the slogan for Indonesia's chairmanship. Now, maybe you can enlighten us a bit about the potential that ASEAN has actually to be an actual epicentrum of growth and a business center for other countries around it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because as we know, Indo-Pacific is one of the topic of one of the issue that been one of the agenda in ASEAN summit. And second, that they have already signed ASEAN Outlook for Indo-Pacific. So this is one of the commitment to put Indo-Pacific.
And that was initiated by Indonesia as well.
Initiated by Indonesians. And don't forget that yesterday Kamala Harris, the vice president,
she gave a nod.
Yes,
also.
yes. Also, Prime Minister of China also already came.
Right.
So Indonesia is not, we have a politik luar negeri.
Yes.
So bebas dan aktif. So actually we're neutral. We're not, the West and East. Okay. But one of the important keys is that Indonesia is not joining BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The agreement. And now they dealing with United States on discussing what kind of potential agreement, because they will also, Jokowi just finished ASEAN and also United States bilateral meeting. So if we see that, as you said, that the potential business, what kind of potential business that we can develop, like crude palm oil, that's also one of the, one of the importance. Tourism.
Prof, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but we're just going to see what's happening there at Hutan Kota Pelataran. I think some of the world leaders or heads of delegates are arriving now at the venue to attend the gala dinner. Let's see who is arriving right now.
President Jokowi arrives at the gala dinner venue.
Okay.
I think I saw Ibu Iriana as well with another awesome attire.
Yes, I was just going to say, Uli.
I know, that is something that he always waited before President Jokowi arrives at a big event, is what kind of traditional attire that he would be wearing. And I think that is such great diplomacy.
Yes, indeed. It's his way of introducing the richness and vibrancy of Indonesian culture to the world. And it's always been a trademark of President Joko Widodo to wear different traditional attires from different parts of Indonesia.
Another car is arriving. Oh, the car is just leaving. All right. Okay, so we were...
Please continue, Prof. Aryawan.
Yeah, actually, yes, as you said, that Retno Marsudi said, our foreign ministers, that this is a very big potential if we're have integrated communications with the ASEAN. And what is the important things? How to make it, integrated?
Yes.
Yeah, one of the important is that the digital.
Okay.
So this is very important. That's why we have to make an integrated system between ASEAN countries. Like Indonesia Connect. There is ASEAN connectivities, interconnectivities between Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. So they connect each other. And this is very important because, like as I said, crude palm oil. This is. We know that Indonesia is one of potential in making the crude palm oil. Even it's decreased, but the potential is still there. Rice. We are one of the largest rice producer in ASEAN. But in contrary, that we know that we still import rice. I think we can deal with this, and then we can, deal with ASEAN countries again to make integrated systems in making ASEAN business over there.
But how integrated is it now, ASEAN? I mean, there should be a lot of room for improvements, I can only assume. What is the state of the integration between ASEAN countries? Because I mean, the welfare is very different between nations, and the connectivity still must be improved greatly, right, Prof?
Like President Joko Widodo, that fairness is one of the issues. So we cannot compare between Indonesia, Malaysia with Laos and Cambodia, example. So there are, some advanced country, like Singapore, but there are some country that needs, more support, more support. That's why fairness is very important. That's why in ASEAN, I think that they need, a more commitment to renegotiate some of the international free trade agreement to support, the other countries. Like Laos and Cambodia maybe need more support comparing with Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia. So with renegotiation of some international agreement, so it will help them. So I said in some medias last time that we have to take a moment, we have to take benefit when President Joko Widodo have a bilateral meeting with some countries, like ASEAN with China. We have ASEAN-China free trade agreement. Like with Australia, we have Australian national ASEAN, Australian, New Zealand free trade agreement. But it's different between what Indonesians get on that agreement and what Laos can get benefit on that agreement. So fairness is very important.
Right. There's so many things that can be improved, but I'm sure there's also things that hinders, that makes things are difficult to achieve. What are the things that now could be seen as roadblocks that hinders all these efforts from Indonesia as the host of ASEAN to make all those wishes come true?
Yeah, the biggest challenges, right?
Yes.
What are the obstacles?
Yes. One of the biggest challenges is that political stability. Like with Myanmar, we know that the violence in Myanmar.
Yeah.
So this is one of the challenge. And also, like we said, integrated communications between one ASEAN, or I think one of the countries of the ASEAN into another countries. So this is also the second issue.
Integrated communications meaning the infrastructure?
Infrastructures.
Or
and
the
also
agreements between the countries?
Agreements, infrastructure, also one of the issues. Also. So it must, this is very important to connect.
Is there any priorities that...
the priorities is the digital transformations.
Because for the whole region.
For the whole region.
This is very important.
Because that's the future, basically.
Yes, that's the future. Digital is the future of ASEAN.
That's where you can get through connectivity between the member states.
You're right.
Now, Prof. Aryawan, you mentioned earlier the importance of pushing forward ASEAN as a region when trading with other countries. Now, I just want to know, because you're an expert on business law, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. Is there a mechanism in ASEAN for the ASEAN member states to actually negotiate that way? Because isn't it hard when it's only one country per country, like the bilateral meetings, but then you have to deal with one by one of the country. Is there a mechanism, though, we can push forward as a region?
Yes. In the concept of free trade, they have to dismiss all barriers between tariff and non-tariff barriers. So, example, Indonesia, they have a good goods and services. They are good in crude palm oil. So, example, transfer to Singapore or transfer to Malaysia. So, hopefully, there is no.
And there's already agreement on that between the member countries to allow that.
Bilateral.
The bilateral.
How
about the
but Indonesia, as a part of ASEAN, also signed another agreement with Japan, with China.
The multilateral countries, the trading partners, as in the big players. You know,
what we have to achieve is that it's not the free trade. We have to get the fair trade.
Fair trade. But fair is relative, isn't it?
Yes, you're right.
What do you mean by fair trade, Prof?
Yeah, fair trade is that the fairness. So it's mean that you cannot, example, an adult challenge with a kids. They run in one, locations. It's difficult. So example, China compete with, several countries, which is it's not the same position. So they need the time, They need the time. Right, like we see ASEAN and China free trade agreement. There are three parts. Normal track, high track, and highly sensitive track. So with some countries like Indonesia or Singapore, they can achieve it into the highly sensitive track. But with Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, they need the time. In doing some kind of transferring goods and services. That's why fairness is very important.
To calibrate what fairness is between the parties.
Yes, that's why Indonesia, as a part of ASEAN, have to deal with this, to discuss and sitting down what ASEAN position on dealing with that agreement, because Indonesia, as a part of ASEAN, and now it become a chair of ASEAN, dealing with several agreements with many countries.
All right. Now, Prof, Indonesia is nearing the end of its chairmanship in ASEAN.
Yes.
I just want to get your perspective. What do you think have been the highlights of Indonesia's chairmanship now that we are about to pass the baton to Laos next year? What have you think been the best legacies that's left behind by Indonesia, Ibu Retno and Pak Joko Widodo?
I think this is a very good question. Since Indonesia, successfully in holding the G20 as a president, now become the chairman of ASEAN. So we have to put a good legacy for ASEAN. This is very important. That's why Indonesia have to, make a good agreement between ASEAN countries. Like example, as I said, what to define fairness. Because Jokowi's speech is that we have to put fairness.
Equal footing, I think was the term he used.
Yes, you're right. Yes, the equal trading. So that's why we have to, we have to make the concrete, actions on how to make it, implemented, I mean, for the fairness itself. Because we cannot compare between Indonesia and another country if we're not comparing each other. That's right.
There was another term that President Joko Widodo used on the opening day. He described ASEAN as a family.
Family.
Members of family.
Yeah, it's a family, and as with all families, there's always different of opinions. There's always differences in dealing with things. Now, I just want to get your opinion on this. When we talk about family, you know, there are families and there are dysfunctional families. Although in a way, all families are dysfunctional families. But maybe we can take that analogy and say Myanmar in part of this family is being like the really troublesome child right now, who's been told off many times by the other members of the family.
Discriminated.
But as of now, it seems to be wanting to do, you know, their own thing without anything to do with ASEAN. Now, this has been the biggest criticism to ASEAN. It's slow decision-making process, the very slow bureaucracy, and the never interfere policy. And people are now pushing, especially from outside ASEAN, for ASEAN member countries to be more firm with Myanmar. Do you agree with this? What do you think is the best way?
Which is kind of funny because President Jokowi also said that he wants the world leaders to be bolder.
And more agile.
And more agile. So, you know, what you said and then what the president said. So what's going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we can learn from Russia and Ukraine war.
Right.
You know, ASEAN, you know, have to put what positions. I mean, in what position? Learn from Russia and Ukraine example.
So which side do you support? Is it that obvious? Because Indonesia, as you said, have this philosophy in their international diplomacy, bebas aktif, independent but active. But sometimes, unfortunately, they use it as an excuse to not interfere. We want to be independent. We don't want to take sides. But people are now saying, this is not like the old days. This is where you actually have to take a stance and pick sides. What do you think of this?
Yes, of course we have to, because as Indonesia, as our you know, political bebas aktif, we have to follow, of course. This is our,
you know, our corridor.
Our corridor, and then we have to follow.
Right.
But, you know, as a part of ASEAN, we have to put what position that you want. What kind of, you know, statement. You know, in responding of the Russia and Ukraine war example.
But
what kind of statement?
Positions also a fluid thing, isn't it?
Yes.
It changes and changes and changes.
Yes, it changes, so fine. But the most important thing is in what positions.
Do we support it or do we not support it? Do we agree with this?
Yes, now we are, you know. That's why if we put a good position, example, in facing that case, what we have to do. Because sometimes we are depending on import. Like gandum wheat. I think we get the impact of this. That's why we have to, you know, for the food security, that's one of the issues also.
One of the big issues that it is.
Yes, one of the food issue for the food security. Like El Nino now, it's become a problem now. As I said, Indonesia is one of the largest rice producer in ASEAN. But now we still import.
So this has been one of the biggest dance of diplomacy in between trying to do within quotes, the right thing and what's...
Back and forth, right? Like a dance.
What's morally right, and also there's a lot of... there's imports, there's exports, that's what a country needs.
Business
interests, there's also how this would work politically, domestically, what would... our people think about this
especially
and that.
With the election coming on
so this has been a very interesting.
But the key is that they have to, you know, dismiss all the barriers, tariff and non-tariff barriers. Yes.
All right.
So the target is that until 0%.
And where are we now?
Now we are depend. Now if it is with ASEAN and China agreement, I think we have to check one by one. Example, in what sector? Manufacture, we can see how many percents of the tax. So hopefully there will be 0% one day.
Now it's not uniformed yet.
Yes, it's not. So it needs time, you know.
It's on the way. It's progressively going that way.
That's why some countries, I mean, besides Indonesia, still in ASEAN, they don't make any regulations that, you know, make a barrier into another ASEAN countries to put their goods and services. Right? If they still put that regulation, I mean, that, you know, become a barriers, even that's a tariff and non-tariff barrier. So quite will be difficult between ASEAN countries.
Why were all these tariffs were there in the first place?
Pardon? Yes.
Why were all these non-zero tariffs were there in the first place?
Like
what was the history of that?
Yes, because like in ASEAN, China, ASEAN, Australia, I think they start maybe since 10 years ago or 12 years ago. But they in what year? I think we have to check the agreement. I think in 2030, 2025, they will face until 0%.
Okay.
That's why.
All right.
That's why maybe Pak Jokowi wants, you have to open the market. Like example, how many foreign bank that invest in Indonesia, but how many Indonesian bank?
Why there are parties that are resistant to this idea? What do they have to lose?
Yeah.
Because they protect their local product.
I see.
That's why some countries like in Japan, maybe they use dumping, right?
Okay.
They use maybe they sell it cheaper than their products.
Meaning that like they dump their products cheaper to wreck the market's price.
In Indonesia, we can use another law instrument like anti-dumping law to put the tax. So that's why our local products still compete with Japan products.
Got it.
Okay. Very interesting, Prof.
Yes.
Let's see the live feed again from Hutan Kota Pelataran.
Amin is arriving at the venue.
Great.
Let's take
More
a look.
leaders are arriving.
To invite everyone to make way to your seats and make yourself comfortable as we'll start our event tonight very shortly. Thank you.
The decor is just amazing, and people have been also commenting on the decor of ASEAN when President Jokowi was receiving the world leaders, that is really pushing the agenda of IKN,
Yes.
Nusantara.
I agree with you. The venue at Jakarta Convention Center certainly get a facelift.
Yeah.
It looked gorgeous, and that backdrop of the
Nusantara,
future capital city, was a nice nod.
Presidential palace
Yes.
at the background, along with the birds, the sound of the birds, and also the waters streaming and everything.
I know.
Everything was well thought.
Like a multimedia presentation, right?
Indeed. So here we have the Vice President Ma'ruf Amin arrives at the gala dinner venue. Everybody's looking absolutely fantastic this evening.
Yes. So same with President Joko Widodo. This will be also VP Ma'ruf Amin's last ASEAN summit. So it'll be interesting to see how he makes the most of this opportunity to convene with other world leaders, heads of delegates, representations of world organizations and businesses.
Yes.
Right? The venue is looking absolutely beautiful. I think it's a great opportunity also to show world leaders another side of Jakarta. We're not just a metropolis, but we have this beautiful venue that showcases how Jakarta actually have a green area right in the middle of the city and next to all those beautiful skyline that they're going to be seeing later on.
Indeed.
All right, Prof, we would love to continue our conversation with you. Now, you mentioned also about the political instabilities that are hindering the progress that can be made by ASEAN. Now, we go back to the biggest criticism received by ASEAN being not firm enough with some parties when it comes to disputes. I think one of the great examples for that is the South China Sea dispute. And the reason why most member countries of ASEAN is a little bit hesitant is because on the other side, there's China, ASEAN's biggest trading partner.
Yes.
The big brother.
Yes,
The big
Prof,
brother.
what do you see of this? I mean, how can we be more firm with our biggest economic trading partner?
Yes.
Can we do that? And will there be any possibility actually for China to play with the rules that everybody else is playing instead of playing by their own rules, like we just recently saw where they designed their own map of the South China Sea? What do you think of this?
Yeah, I think we can see trade war between U.S. and China.
Okay.
I think we have to see from the trade war
From that
itself.
perspective.
That perspective. And Indonesia,
Selamat datang dan selamat malam.
Indonesia.
Kami ucapkan kepada
I don't think so. It's
Sorry,
okay.
Prof.
Okay.
Continue,
Go
Prof.
ahead.
Indonesia is not, blocked between China or United States. Like example, I mean 1 month ago that whether we have to join BRICS or not, because there is China inside.
Right, but we were there, but we didn't join them, right?
Yeah, we didn't join. But Jokowi is quite smart because they have some bilateral meeting and signs many MOUs.
Right.
Okay.
Some MOUs with Tanzania, with Mozambique.
Yeah, with African
and
countries.
with Africa as well. So although Indonesia was not joining, but
Mm-hmm.
also Indonesia is still keeping their options open.
Yeah.
And
But once they are in the BRICS summit, they said that, okay, we have to think first.
Right.
We have to review the BRICS agreement, whether this is benefit for Indonesia.
Isn't that such a tease?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because some people that, okay, if you're joined, it means that you're with China.
A great play by Indonesia.
I think that's a great play. I think.
Yeah,
because
you agree with the...
2 days before, before Jokowi went to Africa, I think I suggest that Indonesia have to review the BRICS agreement itself.
Okay.
Like example, also Pak Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, our former president, has ever reviews the Trans-Pacific Partnership when Obama came to Indonesia, Bali, if I'm not mistaken, over the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So at that time, they want to review, and then finally we didn't sign it.
Okay.
So we learned from that.
Okay.
So by the way, Bangladesh.
By the way, I think,
Yes, we just got information that Bangladesh is arriving at the venue.
And the same as in G20, Uli.
I know.
In here, they also are providing EVs for the state leaders and heads of delegates.
Can you imagine the atmosphere must be electric at these events?
Indeed.
Gala dinner, everybody's looking fantastic. The pomp.
Yes.
Wow.
The pomp of the pageantry.
And the pageantry. The world leaders strutting, not the catwalk, but the red carpet.
Red carpet.
Now, Prof, do you know anything about the relationship between Indonesia and Bangladesh when it comes to trading and economic partnership?
Yeah. I think Bangladesh is one of trade partners for Indonesia.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is good because until now they have a very good relation in trade and investment.
Okay.
I think Bangladesh support what Indonesia did in ASEAN now.
All right, that's good. There's our president with the first lady.
Welcoming their guests. And I feel like this is just the right time for Indonesia because, we are ready with the venues, the politics, everything is just in place,
Exactly.
Like, as if we've been putting pieces of the puzzle for the last 8 years and now it creates a beautiful image.
Exactly. And when it comes to the ASEAN summit, after 2 days of jam-packed schedules, this is a great chance for the leaders to finally have a breather, relax and enjoy the evening. I think the Prime Minister of Cambodia is now arriving.
This is Cambodia is arriving.
What about our partnership with Cambodia, Prof. Aryawan? Historically, we have very good relationship with Cambodia. As you know, Indonesia once helped Cambodia a great deal.
Yes.
Because of that, Cambodia has great respect for Indonesia.
Same.
Let's just continue until now, 2023.
And then they have a good relation and they support the government of Cambodia. I think.
Okay. This is a great chance, actually, to know each other better as well, Uli. Between the leaders, between the countries of ASEAN, we learn about the culture, we learn about the hospitality, quirks of each country. This is a very good opportunity, actually, to have a warmer relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, another car is arriving. So far, very smooth and efficient. I'm really liking the protocols.
Like clockwork.
Exactly. Impeccable timing of each one.
Timing. Brunei Darussalam.
Okay, here we go.
With his son, maybe? Usually?
Yeah, when he arrived at the opening day, he was accompanied by the prince.
Usually with the prince.
Yeah. Also, another highlight in Indonesia's social media was
I
the
wonder
Prince,
why.
the Prince of Brunei Darussalam is also garnering a lot of...
Becker is giggling. Maybe you can explain to us why.
No, it's just really funny to see all the women in Indonesia
but it's
imagining themselves.
I know. But it's also exciting because ASEAN not only reach people, educated people, or people in the business, in the political sector, but also now with the social medias, sometimes little things goes to TikTok, to Instagram, and everybody talks about it. From the high schoolers,
Yeah, which is a good thing actually.
I know, from people in the entertainment industry, people are gossiping about things, and that is interesting too. And that it kind of humanizes also the summit that is happening.
Okay, I think we have now the heads of delegate from Australia, one of Indonesia's partner country.
Yes,
one of the biggest
ones as well.
Countries for Indonesia.
Now, how is the trading relationship between Australia and ASEAN? Not just Indonesia, but ASEAN as a whole. Is it going better?
Yeah, it's going better.
Okay.
Because now Australia, have many agreements with ASEAN.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like ANZFTA, not only with Australia, ASEAN, Australia, and New Zealand trade agreement. They have the trade agreement.
All right.
How is Australia doing economically for the moment?
Yeah, I think so
They're
far
doing
it's good.
good.
Yeah, it's going good.
Okay. Now, in the region, they're also playing a bigger role in terms of security with the agreement with US and UK.
Yes, United States.
I think that's also one way of the US to assert more influence in the region. I think it has something to do with the rivalry between the global powerhouses, US and China. And it's interesting to see how these other countries making their alliances, And it'll be interesting to see how Indonesia and ASEAN play along with all this chess playing of, geopolitical games. Okay, another delegate is arriving.
Laos.
Oh, this is Laos. The next chair of ASEAN.
Yes.
They will be passed the baton. Now, as you mentioned, Prof, most of the issues, the geopolitical conflicts that is happening right now, most likely it's not going to be resolved in this chairmanship.
You're right.
So it's going to be passed on to the next chair, which is Laos.
Yes.
What do you think
Laos
of their
or Philippines?
chances?
Philippines.
Yes,
So next year,
Philippines,
next year was supposed to be Myanmar, and then Philippines took over, and then after that Laos, right?
Yeah.
Philippines and Laos. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think of Laos' capabilities of?
I think Laos, have to be prepared.
Would be
At least they still have 1 year. After
Okay.
Philippines,
Yeah.
To get ready.
To get ready
Yeah.
for all the turmoil.
Not only to get ready politically and economically, but also the venues and everything. This is a big undertaking.
You're right.
Indonesia has been. We've been building. We've been building cities, approaching to this moment. So this moment just arrived at the right time onto our lap.
Yeah, we are lucky that we had the G20 leadership before that. So we got ready for that, and then we just continue, everything that we had built before for the ASEAN chairmanship. But exactly
one
like
big
you said,
event,
Willie,
another big event.
For Laos is going to be their, a fresh undertaking.
That's quite
the
challenge to build all that in a short period of time.
Yeah, we obviously we wish them all the best. Another delegate is arriving right now. I cannot clearly see the flag. This is the European Union, head of delegates of the EU. Now, this should be interesting, Prof. What can we, ASEAN, a regional bloc, learn from EU? Another successful regional bloc that have shown that, together they can move forward together. What can we learn from the success of EU?
ASEAN and EU is the same. That's a regional group also.
Yeah.
And ASEAN also sometimes learn from EU.
Okay.
Example, they have euro, right?
Right.
At that time, we also want to make a local currency, but it's quite difficult.
Okay.
That's why we still applied our local currency in every country.
Are we going
applied.
to that direction though?
Yes, one day.
So one day,
Yes,
Oh,
one
we
day.
okay.
can hope
Yes.
That's
for
like the final
ASEAN
goal?
Yes.
to
final
have
goal.
Do you
their
think it'll
own
be better
currency.
for us?
Yeah, but it needs time. It's difficult because the position of the countries is different.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Singapore would actually mind though,
You're
right?
right.
To
You're
have
right.
their
You're
currency
right. You're right.
dragged down
You're
by
right.
the other currencies.
You're right.
Okay.
We
That's
don't
one
want
thing.
a
The
thing
ideas
set,
is
right?
still there. The ideas, they have the ideas,
Okay.
but difficult to implement.
Do you think it will happen? And if yes, in how many years?
I think more than 5 years.
More than 5 years that it's
More
happening.
than 5 years.
All right. But for now, we have the QR method paying.
Yes, we try to apply
Yeah.
the QR methods. We have
Yeah.
local currency appliement,
Yeah.
So testing the waters.
testing the
The
waters.
waters, yeah.
So they use batik, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they are
Batik.
presented with batiks. I think this is the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, President Joko Widodo has been applauded for reaching out, and making connections and relationship with the Pacific Islands,
The
Cook
Pacific
Islands,
Islands, you're right.
as he did previously, like you said, with African countries,
Yes, yes.
making trade agreements
Yes,
and
yes. They're making
new
agreements not
partnerings.
only in ASEAN, but
Yeah.
in Africa,
Yeah.
in Pacific.
Malaysia.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, a dear friend to Indonesia,
Yeah, yeah.
even in his earlier years, those tumultuous
Yeah.
years of him being the opposition, if
You're
you
right.
remember. Yeah, he came here a lot, and it's very
Table
actually.
has turned.
Table has turned. It's encouraging to see him finally here in Indonesia
Yeah.
as Prime Minister
You're right.
of Malaysia. Now, how's the relationship between Indonesia and Malaysia economically?
Since Anwar Ibrahim, I think this is a quite, they
yeah.
have a good relationship
Okay.
I think, between Indonesia and Malaysia.
Because, yeah, for lack of better words, this
Yeah.
is our closest neighbor.
Yep.
That's why we call them serumpun.
Yeah.
Rumpun.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of issues, of course, as with all neighbors. But we still will count on them for support and close relationship.
It's just heartwarming to see.
I know, like
us
old friends here.
Yeah, unfolding in front of our own eyes. Timor-Leste, okay?
So His Excellency Sanana Gusmao.
We can
Yes.
see what will he do for
I know.
with Iriana Joko
I'm
Widodo.
waiting.
You're
in
waiting.
Anticipation.
Anticipations.
I think the whole of social media right now is tuning in.
Taking his time. Walking down the red carpet.
This is also actually a great chapter in Indonesia and Timor-Leste's
You're right.
history.
This is
Yeah.
a good.
This signals a bright future ahead
You're
because
right. Yeah.
we know,
You're right.
in those previous years there
You're right.
was a dark chapter between our countries, but that's
This time just a normal handshake.
was it?
No, I said,
Just a normal handshake.
I think maybe he was told by his protocol.
You think? Or he just left.
he just left.
He was supposed to take a picture.
The president was laughing
And then-
just now. I think he knows exactly what people
Yeah.
are talking about.
Well, what's nice about President Joko is his
Yeah.
sense of humor,
Yes,
So
I
in a
agree.
lot of situations, he diffuses what's going on. Who
Yes.
could be probably in other areas could be a disaster, but
Yeah.
he diffuses so easily by his
Yes.
sense of humor, and just people's like, okay,
That's true.
no worries.
I think Canada.
Justin Trudeau.
Yes, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Who earlier today made a speech.
He did.
At the summit?
He gave a speech on the summit.
He bring his son, I think. Maybe.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
Probably
see.
since he's not been here with his former first lady,
Yeah.
Right.
if I may say.
Yeah. And it's good to have the leader of Canada
Yes.
here in Indonesia
Yeah.
to initiate more agreements,
You're
more
right.
trade.
That's the son.
Yes, with his son.
So lovely to see them both so casual,
Yes.
enjoying the evening together.
This
Look at
Prime
President
Minister
Joko
have many
Widodo.
friends here in Indonesia.
Very relaxed. let's take a look.
Great friendly atmosphere.
Yeah.
As
Quite
the leaders
relaxed.
are arriving.
You know, a great idea to bring a child, a son.
Yeah.
You know, somebody young who brings a young vibe.
Yeah. So as we know, Justin Trudeau's father was also Prime Minister of Canada.
That's correct.
Is he probably prepping his son to be next, you know,
You're
the
right.
next future Prime
future
Minister
leader.
of
Yeah.
Canada? Keeping the dynasty.
The dynasty.
Next up is Japan, another very important partner
important.
to Indonesia
Yeah.
and ASEAN.
And ASEAN.
Japan has a lot of investments
You're right.
Yes.
in
You're right.
Indonesia and also in ASEAN.
How is Japan positioned at the moment? Because some people are saying that Japan is having economic problems at the moment.
Yes, but I think still okay.
Okay.
Because Japan has, deal with many countries like United States. They have a good economic growth.
Although their
Okay.
population are aging.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
that's
still
true.
have economic
It's one of their
growth,
biggest
I think.
problems
Yes.
right now, right? Okay. But Japan has its own worries right now,
Yeah.
signaled by their trilateral meeting with
You're right.
U.S.
Yeah.
and Korea,
Korea, yes.
because of the tension
You're right.
with Korea,
Yes.
and also a little bit of tension with China as
You're
well.
right.
How do you see this play out in the Indo-Pacific region, and
That's
how
interesting.
should ASEAN deal
Yeah.
with all of this?
Yeah. That's why I think ASEAN has to, look up all the agreements
Okay.
that using by Japan and Korea and United States.
We
I
need to
think.
get updated,
Yes,
on
we
those.
have to get it updated because we have the
Okay.
agreement also with Japan.
Okay. Now, Japan, as we know, is a very important partner to Indonesia. A lot of very strategic investments, including the MRT.
Yep.
We are hoping
Trade.
that there's going to be even more routes opening up soon
Yes.
by Japan.
Singapore
Oh, here we go.
arriving.
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister of Singapore. Prime Minister of the
Now Singapore have a new president
Yes,
2 days ago,
just
right?
elected 2 days
Just
ago,
elected,
yeah.
Yes, 2 days ago.
the tiny but mighty Singapore
Oh,
stepping out.
One of the most expensive
It is.
country in the world at the
Yeah.
moment.
It's real estate. It's
Yes.
real estate. I think rivals London
Yeah.
and Paris,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
New York.
yeah.
While maybe 30 years ago, Indonesians came to Singapore to shop because it's just cheaper.
Okay.
Not anymore.
That's true.
Although, if you're looking for quality, that's the right place to
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Indeed.
In medical, everything.
Yes. So, what can Indonesia expect from Singapore in terms of economic partnership in the future, Prof?
Yes, because this is a neighboring country. So
Uh-huh.
I think, like example, we can develop the relation between, example, Batam and Singapore, right?
okay.
They can build a good connections between
Yeah, yeah.
both
And
sides.
to have that integration that you
You're right.
mentioned
Yeah,
earlier,
integration
something that is
between
more
Batam.
tangible.
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Vietnam.
Now, Vietnam has been dubbed as one of the
Yes.
rising country
Yes.
in ASEAN. It
Yes.
has been getting a lot of
Yes.
attention and investment
Yes.
from Western countries.
You're
Can you
right.
explain to us why Vietnam is suddenly rising to the top?
Number one in economic growth. Last time
wow.
I met one of the secretary of the party of the ASEAN of the Vietnam.
Yeah.
I think 1 month ago.
Okay.
Came to Indonesia with the chair of with the director of Vietjet, right? Because now I see that Vietnam they develop more in agriculture, So that's why they have deal with many
Yeah.
Asian countries.
Okay.
Right, and then they use their exports to support all the ASEAN members.
Okay, so that's the source of
Yes.
their
Also,
economic
political
growth.
stability.
Political
That's
stability,
a big
Yeah,
plus.
that's true.
Yes.
Even say compared even to Cambodia, I mean
Yes.
Vietnam is more
Yeah.
stable
Yeah.
compared to
Yes.
say
Yeah.
Cambodia.
You're right.
So
You're right.
yeah.
And a lot of manufacturing abilities,
Many.
Right?
Yes.
okay?
Now they have Vietjet.
Yeah.
Direct between Jakarta and Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi maybe.
Okay. Oh, time to book a flight, Uli.
Yes.
The Philippines.
Yes.
Arriving.
I think the delegates and the leaders are being escorted as we speak right now, while still welcoming the arrival of the state leaders, this time from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Now this is the...
Will be the upcoming of the chair, right?
Yeah.
Chair of the leaders.
Yeah.
Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Yes.
with the First Lady of the Philippines, looking
Fabulous.
fabulous
Yeah.
and very illuminating with that beautiful red dress that is actually a traditional attire of the Philippines.
Oh,
Already
That's a cute
very
moment.
familiar.
Excellencies,
This is, I think, their third time meeting
Yes.
when President
elected last time,
elected,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
He made Indonesia his first
You're right.
first foreign visit.
Yes, very busy.
And then they also met again at Labuan Bajo
You're right,
at the
right.
first ASEAN
Right.
summit in May earlier this year. So already chums, very, very good friends with the President and First Lady Iriana.
Will Kamala Harris join with this event? What do you think?
I haven't had any confirmation on this. She should be because she's part of
Yes,
the,
we see that.
the delegates.
If she is, will she be fashionably late?
We are still waiting on confirmation
Yeah.
on that. But that's an interesting question actually, and it implies many things
Yeah.
that has been the talk of the town.
Yes.
We're going to discuss that later, Prof. Aryawan. I would love to get your perspective on this, but let's see the next arrival.
Thailand.
This is Thailand.
Yeah.
Now, the Prime Minister of Thailand
Ladies and gentlemen, please
is not attending
rise as we welcome the ASEAN state leaders.
the premiere, I think, because the Prime Minister was just elected
You're right.
recently, still adjusting to his new office.
There's always.
So he's excused himself from the summit. Now, Thailand had a bit of a situation a few months ago during the AMM, the ASEAN Foreign Affairs Ministers, when they met with Myanmar.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Without,
At the side.
Yes, at the side, without acknowledging the other ASEAN member states. And there was a
Right.
bit of a rift, right? I think
You're
now all things are smoothed out, but what do you think of this? And what does it mean for ASEAN's centrality, which is something they always talk about, right?
Yeah. I think now they're good because last time they have a problem with that,
Yeah.
with the Myanmar especially. But I think hopefully if we see the position of ASEAN with the Myanmar is very important.
Okay.
But we will see what
Yeah.
will Indonesia and ASEAN and Thailand, of course, inside
Please be
to see this
seated.
case.
Thank you.
I think Thailand's excuse at that time, they believe they have more experience when it comes with the internal squabbling of the Myanmar conflict. They know the people who are involved and therefore can provide more solutions. But I think the problem is not acknowledging the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
member countries,
Yeah.
especially Indonesia as chair.
But the other was like a bit surprised.
Yeah.
Right.
From Russia, this is the foreign minister
Yes.
of Russia. As we know, President Putin is not attending
Yes.
Yeah.
the
But this is
ASEAN
the delegations,
summit.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is heads of delegate from Russia. So in total, there are 3 major powerful countries who's not represented by their top leader. U.S. is not
US,
presented
China.
by China as well. President Xi Jinping is not here. He's at the G20
You're right.
summit. And then Russia as
Russia,
well.
yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Would that affect any of the
What does that mean?
resolutions in
They
the
see
summit?
each other. They see each other.
Okay.
Korea, South Korea.
Oh, South Korea. So now become popular, South Korea.
South Korea.
Very much so.
The K-pop.
Yes.
You heard Siwon? They make a speech.
Yes, and it was completely buzzing when he was there at JCC to make that speech. His fans were all over the place, but it was really exciting actually. And hopefully, you know, with his status as a K-pop star, it'll bring a lot of attention to the issue that he's advocating. Yeah.
That's cultural soft power, you know.
And they're doing such a great job at it, South Korea.
That is what's so great about diplomacy. There's so many ways of doing it.
That's
and
true.
sometimes nowadays, countries are embracing new ways of doing.
Yes, indeed. And I think it's one way Indonesia can learn actually from South Korea, how they have had such a success on making their pop culture a commodity to sell to, you know, the rest of the world, and at the same time asserting their influence globally.
Globally.
Do you agree? I mean, in terms of creative economy, we also have a lot of talents, right?
Fully agree.
Can we tap into that as well, Prof?
Yes, fully agree.
Okay. Okay, they are now chit-chatting inside
as
the
usual.
venue.
So these are, same thing happened at the other summits we saw as well.
Yes.
People are arriving and people are just like saying hi to one another, chit-chatting, maybe lobbying a little bit about some issues that
So we wait for China and US.
Yeah.
Came or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before the event will begin shortly, and then we will witness what's the menu, as in what kind of spectacle they have been prepared for the world leaders this evening.
A lot of smiles, but also a lot of serious faces there we're seeing.
Well, it's 8 in the evening. Everybody must be famished.
Yes, exactly. It's dinner time already, and they're still waiting to be seated.
Sometimes they use this time for lobby.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the perfect time for lobbying because they're relaxed, right?
Relax.
Now, while we wait for the last arrivals, maybe you can give us your perspective, Prof, about the elephant, not in the room, but elephant not in the room, which is the absence of President Joe Biden. He's being represented by Kamala Harris.
Which hasn't arrived so far.
Now, some parties are saying this is the U.S. undermining Indonesia.
Although at the speech,
chairman.
Kamala was giving a nod to Indonesia.
Okay.
So, what's going on? What's between the lines? Prof?
What is going on
Enlighten
between U.S. and Indonesia? Do you think this will have an impact on future relations?
Yeah, I heard from my partner.
Okay.
Suppose Jokowi would like to also to visit the United States next month.
Oh.
Okay.
But they see if Joe Biden maybe didn't come. Maybe Indonesia will think more. They visit the United States. I heard about that, but I don't know. But we have to check it once again.
Okay.
But if we see that Joe Biden absence in ASEAN, but he came in G20. I think it's still okay because the vice president already came. But as I said, they see each other. With China example represented by the prime ministers, not the presidents.
Okay.
So maybe they see each other.
Okay.
So if the president come, maybe the same position will come.
I think the perplexing part of all this drama between U.S., Indonesia, ASEAN is because Joe Biden will actually visit Vietnam after G20. So that's the question mark there. Why bypass Indonesia and ASEAN and go straight to Vietnam to talk about a deal that doesn't relate to ASEAN, where actually an ASEAN summit is happening right here, right now. So that's one of the big questions. Does this mean that...
And Joe Biden knows that Vietnam is #1 economic growth in ASEAN.
Your Majesty,
That's why the trade and investment is quite important in Vietnam also.
Okay.
Right.
So there's a lot of reflecting in ASEAN, in Indonesia, and also in US, because they are saying, is this a way of US to say they don't believe ASEAN is an effective platform to resolve issues? So a lot of questions are still in the air, but we still hope with VP Kamala Harris attending, the good relations between Indonesia and US, especially ASEAN and US, will still be forged, right? Because I think the #1 issue when people say, right now ASEAN, Indonesia seems to be in closer proximity to China than to US, and maybe this is, U.S.'s way of saying, you know, you've chosen your side, maybe you want to be closer to that, that's okay. But other parties are saying, yeah, that's because we have more trade agreements with China. So maybe U.S. should reciprocate by having more trade agreements with Indonesia and ASEAN. Do you agree with this, Prof?
Yeah, as I said, that yes, Jokowi just finished his visit to South Africa.
Okay.
So United States will see whether you sign it with the BRICS or you deal with China's.
So there's some rumors swirling.
Yes,
U.S. wasn't too happy about President Joko Widodo's visit to South Africa, and they were waiting on that confirmation.
You're right.
Okay, I think we have more attendants coming in.
Who is arriving?
So we can continue the political gossiping here. It's been really fun, Prof, by the way. Thank you for the insight so far. We are loving it.
China.
So the Premier of China, Li Qiang, is finally arriving, representing President Xi Jinping. Traditionally, they always delegate each summit. G20 always goes to the president, and ASEAN summit is always represented by the premier. Now, there's a big moment in Indonesia and China's trading partnership. It'll be happening soon. The launch of the high-speed train between Jakarta and Bandung.
You're right.
It's going to be happening. It's the jewel of the partnership right now between Indonesia and China. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
October 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Commercially.
Commercially. That's true.
Huh.
Yeah. They're still testing it, I think.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
I think the initial plan was to launch it in August for Indonesia's independence, but I think they want to make sure, they want to make sure of the safety and
That's
everything.
true.
So please enlighten us again, Prof. Indonesia-China.
Relationship.
Yes.
Trading relationship.
What's in the horizon for us?
What's in the horizon? Is there any danger?
Yes.
I think we have to renegotiate some agreement with China.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Yeah,
Which
because Indonesia is a part of ASEAN. As I said, the position is not same between Indonesia and Laos, even Cambodia. Indonesia position of the chair of ASEAN have to renegotiate of the ACFTA agreement.
So have the fair trade.
Yes.
So you have a fair trade.
Fair
Not
trade with
free trade,
other
but fair trade, as you
fair trade.
mentioned. Okay.
Any specific projects that you believe should be renegotiated?
Yes, with agriculture, manufacture, electric car, they have to renegotiate.
Okay. Now with the EV production, Indonesia has stepped up quite numerously, saying, you know, as the biggest nickel producer in the world, they are ready, you know, to do more manufacturing and not just exporting raw materials. Do you think Indonesia is really ready and up for that, Prof?
Yeah, need time, but I think Indonesia have to be ready.
Okay, we have to be ready.
We have to be ready.
Kindly be seated as we'll proceed with our event tonight shortly.
So
Once again,
I think that's former President Megawati, I think.
Make yourself comfortable as we'll start our event this evening shortly.
Maybe US will not come.
Yes.
Maybe.
So far, no sight of Kamala Harris.
Did we miss it?
I don't think
Did
so.
we?
We're still waiting for confirmation.
Yeah.
Because
So, as we can hear the voiceover from the MC at the venue saying that the event is going to start soon. So now everybody is seated and waiting for the first appetizers to arrive before seeing the event, the spectacles that have been prepared for them this evening.
Now, some of these leaders who are attending the gala dinner here, they also attended the gala dinner for G20 last time.
They did,
And they saw how magnificent everything was, especially the entertainment. So I'm sure they must be looking forward to what sort of entertainment that is in store for them this evening.
Although the feel is different. I mean, the G20 is huge.
Of course.
Huge. And this is another different kind of stage. In a way, it's a little bit more intimate.
I agree. Yeah.
It's more intimate. So this might be better for lobbying.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
So far, it's looking very relaxed, like a reunion between, you know, old friends and business colleagues. All right, we'll continue our conversation with our guest, Prof. Aryawan Gunadi, a professor from Tarumanegara University and chairman at Tarumanegara Foundation. We are still here covering the 43rd ASEAN Summit and its related summit. Right now, the gala dinner is happening.
Yeah.
It's gonna start really soon, but we go back to Prof. Aryawan. Now, you mentioned all those trading agreements between ASEAN and all the other countries. Now, from all those countries that we saw arriving today, especially the big powerful ones like Canada, Australia, European Union, which one do you think would ASEAN and Indonesia as chair would pursue more to get more benefits for ASEAN countries?
Yeah, I think Indonesia as a part of ASEAN, have many agreements like ASEAN-China, like I mentioned before, with ACFTA. We can push also with ANZFTA, with Australia and New Zealand. We have that agreement. We have also ASEAN-Japan, ASEAN-Korea. I think we can push the benefit of that agreement. Of course, with the interest of Indonesian positions and also for another country's position, I think.
Now, at the closing of the AMM, the ASEAN Foreign Affairs Minister, President Joko Widodo remarked that he wants all agreements that happens inside ASEAN, let it not just be an agreement between the leaders, but it has to be beneficial to the people, the grassroots.
Yes.
Do you think this has been happening in ASEAN? Because that's one of the other criticism to ASEAN. This is just a gathering of the leaders.
Well, on the other hand, if it has been happening in ASEAN before, why did he bring that into the conversation?
So it must be an issue, right?
Yes.
Has it been an issue, Prof?
Yeah. Because some of the agreement usually stop until the leaders. Like we sign MOU, is not implemented. That's why some countries need MOA to implement that agreement. Like example, they committed all the leaders with the digital transformations. What is the implementation? They signed some of commitment.
And then it just stopped somewhere?
Yes.
Why?
Stop somewhere. Yeah, I think this is because of the bureaucracy, because of the barriers between the tariffs and non-tariff, as I said before. So, as a part of ASEAN, we need a commitment between one member and two another countries to support the mobilizations between one into another members.
So a stronger political will.
You're right, stronger political and political commitment. And it must be implemented in the ministerial meeting after the president are but they have to implement.
So bureaucratically, when it trickles down, it'll still be working because there's a strong political will from the head of states.
Right.
Now, what's interesting about this year's chairmanship in Indonesia, like we've been hearing, there's a lot of disagreements even at the ministerial levels. Like most of the ministerial level meetings at the summit themselves, they didn't produce a joint communique. There wasn't a joint statement.
By the end of the meeting.
By the end of the meeting, which is actually the final result that was expected by the end of each meeting. So there's a lot of question mark on whether this final meeting could also produce a joint communique or a joint declaration by the state leaders. Usually it's one or two issues that they have a hard time on agreeing on certain terms and certain words, like what happened at G20. You remember, Uli? There was this term
everybody was, oh my goodness, everybody was...
I think it's okay if you're not agree with one to two issues, but there are several issues that we can commit among the member states, I think.
What do you think will be the issue that will get the state leaders to disagree the most when it comes to the formulation of the joint declaration, Prof?
Yes.
Which issue?
Yeah, I think the issues of, example, local currency. That's also one of the importance. If we want to make same like European Union, to make one currency, there will be a dissenting opinion between one into another member state, example. That's why they still use their local currency, right? But they still can discuss to put the same commitment and then put local currency as the commitment. Example.
Now you mentioned one of the key issues that should be discussed in details and also its implementations is the issue of sustainability. So the implementation of green economy, energy transformation, clean energy transformation. Now some parties are saying that would be the case where probably there's going to be some disagreements between member countries, especially about reaching the goal of zero emission, the carbon neutrality.
Yes, yes.
Some people are saying it's impossible to reach that by 2060 or 2050.
Yes.
What do you think of
Too
this?
ambitious?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Some people are saying it's too ambitious.
Yeah, some people say that it's too ambitious because, you know, in international law, the national interest is a very, you know, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
National
Okay.
interest of the country or of the states.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why, of course, there will be zero emissions.
Yeah.
One country will say that, okay, you can, but I can't.
Yeah.
Because, we have our own business to
Yeah.
produce the fabric,
Right.
everything.
Yeah, we still have to
our
manufacture.
cars,
Yeah.
manufacture, and
Yeah.
everything. So, you know, it needs more discussion about this
Okay.
to deal until zero emission. But there will be maybe one, second, third phase until they get to zero emissions.
Okay.
Like tax also same, right?
All right.
Okay.
Now, I think you are correct, Uli. Someone is making a fashionably late entrance.
I told you so.
The head of delegate
it?
that we've been waiting, I
Is
think,
Mm.
is finally arriving here at
Are you
Hutan Kota
sure?
Pelataran.
The last one.
The last one to
Why?
arrive.
Why they put
Yeah.
it the last one?
Do you think this is by chance or by design?
Even the car is different.
I know.
Yes, we
I
have
think,
to interpret.
Yeah.
Why?
So many
What's the last?
signals in diplomacy, you know?
Yeah.
It's what's really interesting is that
Yes.
sometimes it's not the words that's been said, but
Yeah.
what's between the lines and, you know, what they're wearing, how they're moving, what kind of choice of the cars
You're
that
right.
they, you know.
You're right.
that
It's
they-
different.
what is
Yeah.
implied? What is
What
implied?
is implying here?
Okay. We're still waiting to make sure
Yes.
Definitely fashionably late.
who steps out of the car of this.
Maybe still a little bit of touching up
Yeah.
before
Prepping. Yeah.
strutting down. Or maybe impromptu briefing.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't know.
On who to talk to.
We are speculating here. But that's part of the fun of looking at politics.
Yes. So far,
So,
people are still waiting
yeah.
on one of the.
United States, they have
Yeah,
many
the-
protocols.
Yeah.
They
That's
have many
true. That's
report-
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And it goes second by
Protocols.
second.
Second by
Right.
second, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, and then, you know,
It has to be precise.
Has to be precise. It's amazing how, you know, to do diplomacy, although it's something that you thought before, you make plans for weeks, for years, but sometimes the spur of the moment decisions are
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
based on instinct also as well. And so, you know, that's interesting.
That's true. Now, the U.S. through Washington, D.C. have reiterated so many times. They say that ASEAN is a key strategic partner in the Indo-Pacific region,
Yeah.
that they see ASEAN as a very important ally in the region as well. But as you said, by not sending its top leader, the commander-in-chief himself, it seems like the U.S. is just talking the talk but not walking the walk. Like the words is not matching the action. What do you think of this, Prof?
Yes, I think U.S. still see Indonesia, especially ASEAN, is one of the important,
Okay.
you know, have an important role in this world.
Yeah.
That's why they still send the delegation. At least the VP, they send it.
It's still the U.S. It's still the VP.
Yeah. And it's actually very exciting
Yeah.
to have her because she's the very first female VP
Oh yeah,
true.
first
from the
female,
US.
yes.
First
Yes.
female, and you know,
Walking.
she has
Her first time, right?
South
In
Indian
Indonesia.
descent,
Yeah.
South Asian descent.
Walking proud and tall.
There she is, VP Kamala Harris, a former prosecutor.
Although, I mean, she's the right person to send as well.
Yeah, nobody is doubting her skills.
Yeah.
She's a seasoned politician,
Yeah.
very
Great.
skillful, very good speaker as well. I'm sure she'll make a great representation of the U.S., although some are questioning her lack of experience in global diplomacy, especially with such sensitive,
You're right.
crucial issues that is happening right now with the South China Sea dispute. Can Kamala Harris represent U.S. best interest,
Right.
especially in relation with the rivalry with China that is happening right now?
On the other hand, she probably will be doing her whatever diplomacy she's doing a bit more careful than
Yes.
than the president,
Yes,
who has
indeed.
the known to be spontaneous sometimes.
Yes. I think that's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau
So
laughing with
batik.
the other world leaders. Always a popular figure
Yes.
in
Very
all
popular. Right.
gatherings of world leaders. You know, he's like the popular kid in the school cafeteria. You know, everybody want to sit with him.
So, are we assuming that Kamala Harris was the last world leader that came, or
Or there is still one, maybe. Or maybe the last
are
one.
there
Yeah.
any more?
If not one of the last ones, then the last one. Which is great timing by the U.S. team on making sure he's the last one to
The last
arrive,
one.
right?
Yeah, I assume she was the last one
The last
because
one.
now,
She was,
Yes,
as you
because
can
some
see,
people
the president
Yes.
and the entourage, the first lady, is are walking to the main event, to the table. So, I think it's safe to assume that the event will begin shortly. Yes, Kamala Harris was the last to arrive.
She was. Okay. A dramatic last entrance.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and give a big round of applause as we welcome the President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Joko Widodo.
That's the skyline of Jakarta as the majestic backdrop.
Yeah,
Not too far from us.
not too far
Not too
from
far
us.
at all,
That's
yeah.
correct.
Yes.
Not too far from the studio.
At the studio.
So TVRI is located directly in front of this occasion
Yes.
that has been happening.
You're
And,
right. You're right.
shout out also to our viewers because there's a traffic diversion that's been happening
I
as
know.
well.
It's been happening the whole day.
Happening the whole day. So if you're watching us using your gadget, well, let me remind you once again to not go through the area of Senayan because everything is closed basically. Although there are alternative routes around GBK Senayan.
Yeah.
As for
Please
example,
be seated. Thank you.
okay, let me cut that short and see what's happening on the screen.
Your Majesty, Excellencies, State Leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Hutan Kota Gelora Bung Karno, Jakarta, the venue for gala dinner of the 43rd ASEAN Summit and related summit. The venue for tonight's gala dinner holds a significant essence that resonates with the spirit and identity of Jakarta, Indonesia, a metropolis city that brings together preserved heritage and the remarkable nature harmoniously as it promises the future of sustainable living. Your Majesty, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we cordially invite you to savor the delight of assorted Indonesian cuisines which have been carefully selected. We hope you enjoy the gastronomic journey of Nusantara and taste a part of Indonesia's culinary traditions. Please enjoy.
Very relaxing atmosphere. First part of entertainment has begun.
This is the dinner music.
Dinner music.
Yeah.
Perfect for backdrop as they lobby and
One
talk
another,
among themselves.
and enjoy the music and still being able to talk to one another.
Exactly.
And everybody's being served delicious food. One of the chef is Chef Degan Septoaji,
Yes.
one of the chef for the gala dinner ASEAN 2023.
Yeah. Degan Septoaji and Arnold Purnomo
And Arnold Purnomo
has
that's
been
true.
selected, two Indonesian celebrity chefs.
So Chef Degan is the senior chef. Chef Arnold is one of the well-known chefs through his TV shows as well. So this combo would be an interesting combo for the
Definitely.
delegates of the ASEAN Summit.
They'll be serving Indonesian specialties, is what I heard. And it's going to be the highlight of the evening for the state leaders and heads of delegates indeed. It is stated by the President's Secretariat Office that the preparation for the gala dinner has been designed with excellence, luxury, and excitement. They will feature a number of singers, musicians, and dancers.
Yeah.
And the concept of the gala dinner is initiated again by Pak Wisnu Tama,
Yes.
as it was in the G20 dinner. He has prepared everything carefully to make everything run well. And as you said, the two chefs that will prepare the dishes will be Chef Degan Septoaji and Chef Arnold Purnomo. And the dishes will be arranged as beautiful as possible with authentic flavors of Indonesia.
So the guests are enjoying dinner at the moment and enjoying also the entertainment. And surely everybody will be enjoying the food from Chef Degan and Chef Arnold as well. So Hutan Kota by Plataran, this is located in the green area of the Gelora Bung Karno Stadium compound. We have taken a look at the beautiful, beautiful setting of the event. This location is probably familiar to some people. Definitely a favorite location to take pictures. And the green area of urban forest, or Hutan Kota, is one of the choices of Jakarta residents to spend time, sometimes in the afternoons or weekends. The green grass and trees is the main attraction for a simple picnic. The view of the tall buildings in the capital is another attraction, as we can see on your screen at the moment. Beautiful backdrop of the lights. That colorful lights were not there a year ago.
Yes,
So,
indeed. I'm just seeing that's
yeah.
beautiful presentation actually.
It has been always beautiful, but
Yeah,
tonight
it's true.
especially it's been even more beautiful by these different colors, lightings that they obviously prepared for the event.
I know, and I love how they combined international music with traditional Indonesian instrument.
Yeah.
It's a great way to introduce
That's good.
part of our culture
Yeah.
to our leaders.
And also, I mean, that signals that Jakarta, Indonesia, is also a melting pot
Yes.
for cultures around the world. And you know, sometimes cultures from around the world comes to Indonesia, and then we absorb those cultures and we make it Indonesian.
Yes. So there were some questions on why Jakarta was selected to be the venue for the summit, the
Yeah.
43rd ASEAN Summit. Why not choose
Another
another
location.
tourist destination in Indonesia
Yeah.
that needs to be highlighted?
Right.
And the answer is actually because the ASEAN Secretariat is in Jakarta.
It's in Jakarta, that's true.
And they want to push forward the idea of making Jakarta the capital of ASEAN. Like Brussels is the
Capital.
unofficial capital of the EU.
Yeah.
So I think that's the path that they want to go to, especially when Jakarta will no longer be the capital of Indonesia.
Soon.
When Nusantara
It will be
IKN
the capital, yeah.
will be the capital, then Jakarta will soon serve as the capital of the
Right.
whole ASEAN region, which is
Right.
it's a
Which
great
is a- which is
idea.
a great idea,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a continuation of what's actually already been happening
Mm-hmm.
with Jakarta and ASEAN relations. So there you have it, those beautiful visuals and a beautiful performance.
Beautiful songs.
By
Beautiful
a musician.
Song. That's leaving on a jet plane.
I know,
Yes.
but using traditional Indonesian instrument.
Beautiful.
What a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah, great idea. So that's the way of Indonesia does the diplomacy. A touch of Indonesia,
Yes.
a mix of contemporary, makes
I know.
everybody feels welcome, and a great dinner with a great setting. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and also a bit of food diplomacy
Food
happening
diplomacy.
Food
there.
diplomacy.
By
Yeah.
Chef Degan and Chef
Yeah.
Arnold.
So after all that we've been seeing at our TV screen during the summit, what are the takeaways from what has been happening economically from your point of view during this summit of ASEAN that has been happening in Jakarta?
Yes, I think the vision of ASEAN, they want to have a single market one day. So we have ASEAN Economic Community, right? We want single market, as I said, and we want to achieve the goal for ASEAN 2045.
Right.
I think
Prof, I'm really sorry, but we're going to go back to
Yeah.
Hutan Kota to
All
hear
right.
what the president is addressing.
Speaking.
This evening, Indonesia will present the best work of Indonesian youth. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thank you.
Welcome to Indonesia. The land of enchanting beauty. Behold, a magnificent masterpiece awaits. The tapestry of Indonesia's splendor unfolds before you. This is the rhythmic heartbeat of Indonesia's percussive symphony. In ASEAN, we unite as one. From the majestic mountains that touch the sky, to wide oceans with dancing waves under the sun. Come and join our upcoming journey, along with this ASEAN family. Brunei, abode of peace, kingdom of unexpected treasures. Cambodia, kingdom of wonder, tales to thrill. Lao People's Democratic Republic, the land of million elephants. Known far and wide as the land of harmony, Malaysia. Let's head over to Myanmar, the Golden Land. Pearl of the Orient Seas, the Philippines. Singapore, the city in nature. Thailand, land of smiles, where joy gleams. Vietnam, land of the ascending dragon. Timor-Leste, the land of crocodile. to Indonesia, the land of unity in diversity. This is ASEAN, the epicentrum of growth. We flourish a potential youth performers, embodying the hopes and unstoppable future. Their talents illuminate the path towards a vibrant and limitless horizon. This is the celebration of the wave of tomorrow.
Remember the 21st night of September, love chasing the minds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts were ringing and the key that our souls were singing as we danced in the night. Remember how the stars stole the nights away. Good evening, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy the night. Andai aku bisa menjadi seperti yang kau minta, ku jadi juwita kala cinta menggoda. Tak peduli jika surga dan neraka tak pernah ada, yang penting kau ada. Meski tanpa panah asmara, mengapa sabda alam belum jua satukan kisah kita bersama. Cintaku bertepuk harap yang tak ada, rintihan nada asmara, ingin ku kembali ke masa remaja, serasa gali dan ratna yang ku mau kau untukku, meskipun kau tak rindu engkau aku suka. Aku ingin cinta tebar semerbak percik pesona, wahai angin malam, bantu aku merepi alam. Meskipun kidung ini terlalu, ku yakin badai pasti berlalu. Lilin-lilin kecil pun berayu pijak hatimu. Cintaku bertepuk harap yang tak ada, rintihan nada asmara, ingin ku kembali ke masa remaja, serasa gali dan ratna yang ku mau kau untukku, meskipun kau tak rindu engkau aku suka. Hanya kesenian lain, cintaku bertepuk harap yang tak ada, rintihan nada asmara, ingin ku kembali ke masa remaja, serasa gali dan ratna yang ku mau kau untukku, meskipun kau tak rindu engkau aku suka. Cintaku bertepuk harap yang tak ada, rintihan nada asmara, kau kehidupanku, meski kau tak tahu ada aku di hidupmu, yang ku mau kau untukku, meskipun kau tak rindu engkau aku suka.
I hope tomorrow will bring better you, better me. I know that we'll show this world we got more we could be. So you should never give up on your hopes and your dreams. You gotta get up, get into it, get it on to be strong.
If we try, we can fly.
same vision. United excel, together is the mission. Brothers and sisters all in the same zone. We welcome all of you, yes, enjoy our home. Time to chill, keep it real. See the smiles, that'll seal the deal. I know you feel the hype, the music's time. The time is now, the timing's right. See the head move, bergoyang serasi. Semakin-makin kompak bersama beraksi. Bila ada sumur boleh kita numpang mandi. Bila berakhir pasti nanti kita bertemu lagi.
Sayangnya, rasa sayang sayangnya, lihat nona dari jauh. Rasa sayang sayangnya, rasa sayangnya, rasa sayang sayangnya, lihat nona dari jauh. Malam minggu, ayah pergi ke bioskop, bergandengan ame pacar nonton koboi.
Beli karcis, tahu-tahu kehabisan.
Habis bang,
Jaga gengsi, terpaksa beli cabutan.
ya udah ayo deh bang.
Aduh emak asiknya nonton dua-duaan,
Kayak nyonya dan tua di gedongan.
mau beli minuman, kantong kosong tendangan, malu ame tunangan, kebingungan. Film habis, terpaksa yang nganterin.
Baik deh abang.
Masuk kampung, keluar kampung kegelapan.
Gelap ya bang. Kegelapan. Sepatu baru aja dibeliin. Dasar sial, pulang-pulang injek gituan.
Aduh emak asiknya nonton dua-duaan,
Kayak nyonya dan tua di gedongan.
mau beli minuman,
Kantong kosong kondangan, malu ame tunangan, kebingungan.
Through shared dreams and uplifted aspirations, we forge a bond that elevates us to new heights. Strength lies in our collective togetherness and unwavering spirit to empower one another.
You can dance place to go. Where to play the right music, getting in the swing, you come to look for a king. Anybody could be the guy, not as young and the music's high. With a bit of rock music, everything is fine. You're in a mood for a dance, and when you get the chance, you are the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. Dancing queen, feel the beat from the tambourine. Oh yeah, you can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life. Ooh, see that girl, watch that scene, digging the dancing queen. You're a teaser, you turn them on, leave them burning and then you're gone. Looking up for another, anyone will do. You're in the mood for a dance, and when you get the chance, you are the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. Dancing queen, feel the beat from the tambourine. Oh yeah, you can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life. See that girl, watch that scene, digging the dancing digging the dancing
Oh sayang, kau itu sapunya, jangan ada yang mau ganggu tong dua, karena kau dengsa sama-sama bahagia. Ludah dong yang terasukan. Oh aduh jangan ganggu, yang itu sapunya jangan ganggu. Kopi cari yang lain sudah, tak usah jadi pengganggu. Saya stay dengan dia dari lama, jangan kau datang kau kira dengan kau pu drama. Siapa sayang kau tak buang. Jangan ganggu, yang itu sapunya jangan ganggu. Tak usah kau mau datang cari-cari tahu. Bedi, dah usah main ganas. Masih kalah jauh, kurang berkelas. Kakak dong kurang goals, ade terobos full. Maaf deh pu hati sayang duluan kasih gol.
Seisu daripada masalah, lebih baik jangan ganggu itu sayang punya. Yang jadi pengganggu kau tuh cuma benalu, yang di saat dibutuh kalau keluar rumah. Kau stop sudah dengan kau putar telekan, karena tong do bangun cinta tara gampang. Mau kasih pisah tong dua, otra bisa.
Aduh jangan ganggu, yang itu sapunya jangan ganggu. Kopi cari yang lain sudah, tak
menyesal tapi apa mau dibilang, mundur lebih baik daripada terus bimbang. Saya ikhlas kau cari lain, biar kau hidup lebih baik. Mau bikin apa le, mau bagaimana le, nona pun belis mahal kakak setengah mati kakak sujaga nona dari dulu-dulu terpaksa kakak mundur jauh-jauh nona pun belis mahal kakak main salah, kakak main salah. Bapak mama suruh kakak untuk mundur sah, nona cari yang lain semoga bahagia. Please welcome kakak Psychoji.
Dulu suka-suka orang mau pergi keluar beli macam-macam, kasih tinggal rumah pergi pagi pulang malam. Siapa mau larang kaki bajalan sembarang, merambil sandal mai tua ambil acang-acang. Langsung bertanya mau pergi kemana, dik siapa pulang nanti jam berapa, tak enak saya rasa batalkan. Daripada celaka kepala so pusing cari uang, teh susah Omar nanti baribut, lebih baik teh usah jauh.
Jaga nona dari dulu-dulu terpaksa kakak mundur jauh-jauh nona pun belis mahal kakak main salah, kakak main salah. Papa mama suruh kakak untuk mundur sah, nona cari yang lain semoga bahagia. place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place could be much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space make a better place.
Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me.
And I dream we were conceived and we were given joyful face.
In the world we once believed in, we'll shine again in grace.
Then what to do is trembling. This earth is a fine soul. Though it's meant to see is what is heavenly.
Be God's love.
We can fly so high, let our spirits never die.
Joining us on this enchanted evening. Together, we stand as the epicentrum of growth. shared dreams and uplifted aspirations. We forge a bond that elevates us to new heights. Strength lies in our collective togetherness and unwavering spirit to empower one another.
Dancing Queen, definitely a night to remember, and Indonesia is successfully once again creating such a great party for everybody, and everybody's letting their hair down. As we can see, the President Sanana Guzman was dancing.
Yes, joyfully.
And, joyfully, and this Indonesia has broken the ice once again.
I know.
During this tonight's diplomacy. So that was a fantastic night happening.
That was a fantastic evening, indeed. So, Prof, I'm sure you agree that once again, Indonesia has successfully proved itself to be a great host. G20 and then the 42nd ASEAN Summit in Labuan Bajo, and now this one, the 43rd ASEAN Summit in Jakarta. What do you think will this be impactful to Indonesia's economic diplomacy in the region and globally?
Yes. I think Indonesia, as a chairman of the ASEAN, I agree with you that successfully held this event. And I think this is a good moment, first to strengthen all the cooperation among the Asian countries. That's the first. They can foster the economic growth among the ASEAN countries, enhance the digital economy and innovation for sure. And don't forget, we have ASEAN Economic Community. So they have to, implement the Asian Economic Community so they can, achieve the ASEAN 2045. And for sure, there are lots of agreement or memorandum of understanding that has been signed in this, Asian Summit. So, we do hope that we can get all benefit, not only for Indonesia, but for the Asian members, for sure.
Fair trade for everyone.
Fair trade for everyone.
That's what we're hoping for. Well, thanks again for tonight.
Thank you.
Talks
very much.
And insights. Been such an insightful for everybody, for us, and also for our viewers. So once again, Professor Aryawan Gunadi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us for this momentous occasion. Once again, we are gathered for the 43rd ASEAN Summit, and TVRI World will continue its live coverage. Tomorrow will be the last day of the summit.
Indeed.
So please stay tuned for that. We have many more coverages. The Journal also will be on tomorrow, and we'll tell you what's going to happen at the closing day of the ASEAN Summit right here in TVRI World. But for now, we'll bid you adieu. I'm Siska Becker.
I'm Uli Herdi. Thank you for watching, and we wish you all the best, and we'll see you at another event. Take care.